Hey e-commerce marketing podcast listener, I wanted to let you know that we have created the 6-month guide to marketing your e-commerce store. You can download this guide by visiting getosi.com/guide or by texting getosi to 33444. This guide will show you how to get more traffic, sales, and conversions for your online store. Get the guide right now by visiting getosi.com/guide or by texting getosi to 33444. Welcome to the e-commerce marketing podcast. Today's guest is James Schmarko from superfastbusiness.com. And James is proof that you can take solid business profit ideas and turn them into powerful online businesses. He left his safety of $300K a year Mercedes-Benz role in Sydney. James started his online career to apply what he had learned running real businesses. Then he developed his online businesses by founding, growing, and selling his 7-figure SEO and website development businesses. He knows plenty about building and scaling an online business, especially creating recurring income from scratch. Skilled in leadership, profit generation, and lifestyle design, this father of 4 daily software and business builder will reveal repeatable frameworks and ideas for you to apply in your own business. He is super approachable and coaches online business owners at superfastbusiness.com. Welcome to the podcast, James.
Thank you for having me, Robert.
So today we're going to be talking about how e-commerce businesses can grow from small businesses to big businesses. And before we get into that, why don't you just tell us about how you're coaching businesses and what you're doing at superfastbusiness.com right now?
Okay, well, last year I sold my SEO business and my website development business, which I'd grown from startup to mature. And I sold those because I really wanted to continue focusing on working with business owners to help them go through these stages of growth, in particular when they go through the 6 to 7 figure range. Now, some of the people that I work with are in services, businesses, and information products, so they don't need as big a revenue as an e-commerce store to be making good profit. As you know, an e-commerce store is generally going to have a smaller margin and a lot more logistical nightmares than those sort of businesses. Mm-hmm. But for the e-commerce business owners that I've worked with, I've seen a lot of them scale from quite small, under $1 million, to tens of millions of dollars in a fairly short period. And what I have noticed is that the business owner needs to undergo some changes to handle that kind of change, because if it's your first time to grow a business at a large scale, you're going to encounter many challenges along the way, especially when it comes to understanding your numbers and building a team, because you can't really do this by yourself.
Okay. And how do you pick, when businesses come at superfastbusiness.com, is there criteria that you're looking for when you're looking at these businesses before you take them as clients?
There is, for example, I wouldn't recommend anyone join unless they're already making at least $10,000 a year online and up to $200,000 a year profit. 10 to 200,000, they're going to be in a really good zone to get exposed to ideas that will speed them up. If they're making more than $200,000 a year profit, which a lot of the people that I work with are, then I recommend Silver Circle for them, which is a more intimate group of pretty heavy hitters. Some people in there are doing e-commerce and they're doing it on a good scale. And they're really at the more advanced stages where they've got their own teams, they're doing very good content and paid advertising campaigns. They've dialed in their supply and sourcing. They've got a little spot in the market that's going well. And for some of them, it's a matter of, buying as many ads as they can and working on their video conversions and email automations. But for super fast business, someone would generally be making already at least $10,000 per year profit, and they're willing to invest $1,000 a year in their education.
Okay. And once they come to you and you start coaching them, walk us through how you're going to help them get to that next level and how you're going to help them double and generate more revenue for their businesses.
Well, something I offer that I'm not sure many people do is personal customized coaching. So they open up their own private discussion and they tell me what their challenges are, and I help them work through their challenges. Now, there are certain challenges that keep reoccurring, and I tend to be spending a lot of time on those, and they sort of break down into about 4 categories, and maybe it's worth outlining what they are and seeing if we can sort of cover some of the things that I would help them with.
Yeah. Why don't we go through those 4? What are the 4 challenges?
One of them relates to their business model and how they're pricing and packaging things. So for a lot of them, they might be able to move to a subscription model, which is awesome if we can do that. Another one is within that category is, which products, which SKUs are they selling a lot of? Which ones do they get stuck with? Which ones make the most profit? Which ones can they get better supply? So we sort of data analyze, and we build what's called a product matrix. We work out where they should be focusing, and we stop focusing on the things they shouldn't be focusing on. It's pretty common, especially in e-commerce, that people are trying to stock way too many things, and they have obsolete items. They're having trouble maintaining their listings, and of course, if they want to rank well, and they've got to customize all of the descriptions and stuff. It's hard if you've got too many products. So the business model, pricing and packaging is an entire category where I spend a fair bit of time, and this seems to be pretty common with e-commerce.
Okay, and once you've gone through that, you had earlier mentioned something about teams. What do you tell them about teams, and how can looking at the infrastructure that the business have surrounding the people who are helping run the business, how does looking at that and making some changes to that eventually lead to the business growing?
Well, as we mentioned, you can't do this by yourself. So one of the other categories of the 4 is this growth category of hiring and training a team. So people get stuck at every step of the way. They usually leave it too late to hire people. They have trouble finding out where to hire people from. When they do hire people, they don't know how to pay them. They don't know how to train them. They're not sure how to communicate with them. They're not sure how to have them start to think for themselves. That's a very common one. Mm-hmm. They're not sure how to build in reporting systems or management, and to manage this thing. Dealing with people is quite a difficult task for people who have no experience with it. So that is probably by far and away the most popular topic that we're talking about is people, because it never goes away. It's like, even if you solve it, there'll still be niggles for a long time, just because of the nature of working with people, that they're not robots, they're not black and white, they are complicated things. So that one is a popular topic, and we talk about building systems and creating an environment where you can actually step away from doing all of the tasks yourself, which is where most people start. And especially if they've got a garage full of boxes and they're trying to manage the courier, update their website, figure out how to run Facebook campaigns, and this can get very overwhelming. So when you start hiring people, it can be a double-edged sword. It's extremely difficult at the beginning, but over time it gets better and better, because you start to let go of the tasks that you used to do.
Okay. And a lot of these things that you're talking about, listeners can actually visit superfastbusiness.com, and you probably already have resources out there that they can use to help them and cover most of this. Before we continue, let's just go back a bit. Why are you interested in helping businesses and working with businesses? Like you just said a couple of moments ago, working with people can be challenging if you're not used to working with people. So what attracts you when it comes to trying to help other businesses succeed?
Well, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the expression ikigai. It's a Japanese phrase, but it sort of talks about whereabouts you are happy. It's like finding your happy spot, your purpose. Mm-hmm. And for me, helping businesses do well. I mean, obviously I do it because I get paid really well and I want to have a great life. I mean, from a very selfish perspective, let's be honest. I'm not doing it to give back or because I have a mission to serve 1,000 businesses or whatever. I think those platitudes usually false and they're not really addressing the core of it. But yes, beyond having wealth and a great life for myself, I've realized I can do this in an area that I really enjoy. Like I like working with people because I enjoy seeing their success. I like seeing the transformation. If you think of it like being an artist, it's like you take a blank canvas and then turn it into something beautiful. If I can help a business owner who's really struggling have a great business, I feel a sense of pride in that work. So I really love that. And turns out I'm really good at it, which is important. I think if you're going to do anything, you should be good at it. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in it. There's definitely a huge demand for it. The business market is not going away. The bulk of businesses fail, so everyone wants to not fail, and that means there's a huge demand for people like me, and I can definitely get paid for it because there's actually limited choices as to where you can go and actually get help. And this was something that really frustrated me when I started, was no one would sit down with me and show me what they're doing or how it works. It was all smoke and mirrors and pretend wealthy instant riches, hammocks swinging tropical island, false dreams. And when I discovered that they were misleading and deceptive, it was really disappointing. But I felt that if I could provide this service, it's something that would be good to do. I could definitely be paid for it and I could really get people results. So I actually deliberately target a market of people who already have something in play. I'm generally not talking to startups or people who are wanting to start from scratch. That's not my market. You could really burn a lot of energy in that market and still have a small percentage of success just because there's so many factors that could stop someone from being successful. It kind of leads to the other two categories in that list that we were talking about. You know, one category that I spend a fair bit of time on is this whole getting overloaded and routine side of things. It's this self-organization and self-optimization aspect of being a business owner. If you are out of control, there's no chance you're going to have a successful business because it'll all become too much. It'll get on top of you. So I help people set up structure and get organized and create some leverage back in their life in that regard. And then the final phase is I help people figure out how to sell and convert because some people have a negative connotation of what selling is. A lot of well-meaning, highly service-oriented people cannot sell to save their life, so they're handicapping their ability to grow. Most of the people with successful businesses are good at selling, and that either they're good at it or they've set up a sales system or a machine that can sell for them. So this is a crucial part of growing a business. You need people to buy what it is that you're selling, and it's always a good place to start with that one is with your prospect and figuring out what challenges they have. And if you can solve those challenges with your product, then they will willingly pay for it, and then you have a business. If you can keep doing that, then it grows, and that's what we're talking about.
Okay. Thanks for being on the podcast, James. Can you repeat those 4 things again that e-commerce businesses or just any business in general, that if you're selling something online, what are those 4 items that you really need to be focusing on to help your business get to the next level?
You need to focus on yourself and get yourself in order. You need to learn how to sell and convert and build a machine that does that. You'll need to hire and train a team so that you can have an actual business and not a job. And you'll need to have the right business model that is essentially the vehicle that delivers you the result.
Okay. Again, this is James from superfastbusiness.com. Thanks for being on the podcast, James.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the e-commerce marketing podcast. Join the e-commerce marketing podcast Facebook group to learn, connect, collaborate, and grow with other e-commerce marketers at getosi.com/FB. Subscribe to us on iTunes by searching for e-commerce marketing podcast, and please leave a rating and a review. Thank you for listening. See you next time.